Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samlin. I'm the principal of Samlin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud Lawyers Who Care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Jonathan Breeden of the Breeden Law Office and specializes in family law. Jonathan is located in Garner, North Carolina. And welcome, Jonathan.
Thanks, Andy. Glad to be here. And this is the second time I've been on this podcast. I really appreciate you inviting me to come on again. I'm a fan of your work. I've followed this for many years, and I'm glad you're doing this because there's a lot of good, positive things being done by lawyers out here, and I don't know that people all recognize everything that's being done. And I really commend you, like I did last time, for your spotlight on it.
Well, Jonathan, let me ask you, if you were the nickel for every lawyer joke that you heard, would you still be in practice or would you be retired by now?
I could probably be retired. But here's the thing. Lawyer jokes, a lot of them are true. And that's unfortunate. But like the jokes, are often true. And, lawyers have bad apples like all professions have bad apples. I know you're a CFP, have been for a long time. They're bad CFPs too. So it is what it is.
First, I think that's a superb point because maybe that is the opportunity for Jonathan's practice, because if not every one of them is as good as Jonathan, that then creates the opportunity. And before we were chatting, before the podcast started, we were chatting about, some of the other topics that you were talking about, with regard to just the way people operate, not only in your practice, but generally. And we were talking, I think, a little bit about the nature of either, how one operates within scarcity and maybe how that creates, legal issues, et cetera. Do you want to kind of chat about that for a little bit and we can see where that goes?
We all at some level have a scarcity mindset, right? We're, at our core, we are animals, right? And we're making thousands of decisions a second about whether I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry. Are you dangerous to me right now? Fight, flight, all these types of things are constantly going on. When am I going to get my next meal? Now, it's not as primitive for us Americans as it is in some other parts of the world, but we're still innately, I guess if that's the word, an animal, which tends to make us focus on scarcity. And we kind of want to hoard all the nuts in the tree if we're the squirrel this time of year getting ready for winter. And I think that can affect people's ability to be able to move forward and make decisions to be better, to be better in their life and to be able to get out of the situations that they find themselves in. And, we see that in family law. I see that in business. I see that in all the relationships that I have, where people are just afraid to make a decision to be better because they sort of get this anxiety. They start thinking about all the things that can go wrong, and could go wrong. And 95% of them are never going to happen. But they sit there and they tell themselves all this stuff and they don't move forward. They don't take a step forward. And then they just sort of stay where they are and they sort of try to control what they can control because they're sort of focused on scarcity and they don't realize how much abundance is out there for them. And that is unfortunate.
So doesn't that then create a question mark in your head, both as a professional and as a human being? If you're saying that 95% of the contingencies don't happen, the 95% of the issues that you think are going to happen don't, could you imagine an agreement that ignores, that you craft, where you ignore 95% of those issues? Isn't that a bit of an anathema between the law and maybe playing offense? Aren't they two different mindsets? And how do they coexist?
Well, I mean, I think everybody, it's, if you're going, we do family law here in the suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I mean, if you're yeah, I think you've got to, you've got to be focused on the future, right? Like there's nothing we can do really about the past. And so, if you're in a relationship that's not working out, and I think there's a lot of people that they're afraid to maybe get out of that relationship about what would happen next, what their new life would look like. And while they're in a bad one, they get comfortable in a bad relationship, which is not good for anybody. It's not good for either party if it's a bad relationship.
So we talked about the concept of scarcity. What's the opposite of scarcity, and how do people focus on that?
Yeah, well, the opposite of scarcity is abundance. And you want to try, if you can, to have an abundance mindset and recognize that anything and everything that you would like to accomplish, whether it be financial or anything else, is out there in this world and available to you if you take advantage of it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it, but you have to take steps to start to achieve it. And you have to break it down into smaller steps that lead to a bigger goal. And I think people, they get these big ideas, and there's people saying, well, you can't do that. And who are you to think you can do it? Because they have their own scarcity mindset, and they don't know anybody that's gone on to be as successful as you're talking about being. And so you end up just sort of stuck. The book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is great. If you've not read that, go read that. I mean, they sort of talk about the same thing in that book, where, you end up just sort of stuck. And, but the thing is now, like, there's so much information out there with the internet and Chat GPT and everything else. You can teach yourself just about anything you want to learn. And then take that skill and get a better job, or, whatever you want to do. You become a counselor for somebody, but you have to start taking steps to do it. And people talk themselves out of stuff all the time. But it's out there, and you have to believe that it's out there for you to start taking steps to move towards it.
And how does that affect your practice?
Well, I mean, it's helped my practice, in just my ability to be able to grow the practice to where we could serve more families in Johnson, Harnett, and Wake counties in North Carolina, here in the suburbs of Raleigh and in Raleigh itself. That's allowed me to be able to, invest in new technologies and new staff and new attorneys and better ways to provide a high level of customer service to our clients, because I believed that it was out there, and I was investing money before I had the money to be able to begin to scale. I know you've been scaling. You've had to make these same decisions that I have with your practice. And as far as that's concerned, as far as the clients, we do try to get them focusing on a future free, often of violence. Unfortunately, there's a lot of domestic violence in this world. A future free of an abusive relationship, or a relationship where somebody's being unfaithful to them. And we try to help encourage them to move forward and take a step to better themselves, so that they will be better, that their children's lives will be better, and they will not continue to suffer with what they're suffering from.
Everyone, this has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast. Today, my special guest is Jonathan Breeden of the Breeden Law Office. Jonathan is located in the suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. Jonathan, for those that want to get in touch with you, can you share with us the favorite way that folks can?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at my website, breedenfirm.com, which is BREEDENFIRM.com, or you can give us a call at 919-661-4970, or you can send me an email at Jonathan, JONATHAN, at BreedenLaw.com. My email is Breeden Law, and that's a whole nother podcast as to why I had to go from Breeden Law to Breeden Firm. But the email is BreedenLaw.com. The website is BreedenFirm.com. I'd be glad to help anybody that's out there listening that would like help on having an abundance mindset, how to take a step forward. Be glad to talk to anybody about it, as well as anybody who might be in a relationship that's not working out, that's in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. Be glad to work with them too.
By the way, thank you so much for that different viewpoint on from this podcast. We usually tell a story, about where attorneys went above and beyond with regard to a case, but yours is just on an overall basis, which is wildly helpful. If you're an attorney that would like to participate, please feel free to reach out to us at 914-666-6600. Number again, 914-666-6600. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.